Right, let's do this. 10 things I've learned from 6 years as a travel YouTuber. Let's go. Right, hi everyone, and welcome to Sofia in Bulgaria. If you're new, I'm David. I've been traveling full time for over 6 years now. It was my anniversary a couple of weeks ago, and I have been filming travel videos for that amount of time. And as you may know, if you're a long-term viewer, I'm moving on to different things in life very, very soon. I'm just looking at the date, in a couple of weeks. So I thought today would be a good opportunity to talk about this subject. And this video is really aimed at two kinds of people. Number one, simply if you're interested in this topic, but also if you are considering setting out on that path in life of filming travel videos. And really this is not only 10 things I've learned, but also 10 things I wish I'd known in the beginning, particularly if you want travel YouTube to be your primary income. I've always had an element of freedom in that it's never been my primary income and I've never wanted it to be. So I've been able to kind of do what I want, behave in the way I want, go to places I want to go to, etc. Grab a drink or a Starbucks, which I've finished. Honestly, I'm a little bit high as a kite right now, so I'll try and slow down and enjoy. So point number one is that travel and travel YouTube are two different kettles of fish. Basically, they're very different, all right? So when we talk about travel on its own, solely travel, we can go to places we want to go to. We want to go to places which fascinate us, include things which we enjoy, that cover many of our interests. We can eat what we want. We can go to places we want to go to. We can be very honest. You know, if somewhere is a bit shit, we can say that. You know, and there are no repercussions. But when it comes to travel YouTube, and this is very much connected to a number of these points, you do kind of have to think about where you're going to go. Is it going to work for YouTube? Is there an audience there? Is there an audience which is fascinated in foreigners coming to their country and talking about it and so on? Because that is something which I was slightly perturbed by, or I still don't understand now. Why are people from, for example, Mexico fascinated by foreigners coming to their country when, you know, for me from the UK, no one gives a shit about foreigners coming to the UK and talking about it. Very much travel and travel YouTube are completely different, and you have to approach travel YouTube in a very different way. Point number two is strategy. Yes, as with any kind of business, you do have to think of travel YouTube as a business. You do have to have a strategy. As I said, you can't just go wherever you want. I mean, that would be great if you could do that, and I very much did that in the first couple of years, but you have to start thinking about what is your niche going to be. Yes, travel is a genre in itself, but there are very much sub-genres of that. Do you want to focus on backpacking? Do you want to focus on long-term travel? Do you want to focus on luxury travel, going to resorts and so on? But the thing I would say about the strategy point, and this is about relatability, is what you're going to create relatable for the average audience. For example, luxury travel is a classic. You know, if you're making videos about going to these 7-star hotels in Dubai or whatever, is the average viewer going to be able to relate to that? You know, is it something that they can aspire to, or is it something that they just see as completely out of their reach? You know, and are people going to stick with that long term? The thing about long-term travel and relatability, and this is something I've absolutely found, is that in the beginning, you know, it's great because, you know, a lot of people go traveling for 6 months or a year, whatever, but how many people travel long-term for 6 years or 10 years, 15 years? As you go along, that number of people reduces, and I've found that it has become less and less relatable as time goes by. You know, for the average new viewer, for example, you might be watching this right now, you don't know about my backstory. It's a little bit like if you watch, you know, Stranger Things. I've never seen that show, I must watch it. You know, you might tune into season 3, episode 4 or whatever. You don't know the characters, you don't know the backstory. You know, how can you relate to that immediately? You have to watch the whole thing, and it's very much an episodic aspect. You have to consider that too. Do you want every video to start off like a reset button, a bit like Star Trek Voyager? Or do you want it to be like Star Trek Deep Space Nine, which is very much episodic, in which you needed to watch the whole thing? So yeah, think about your strategy. What is your niche going to be? And stick with it. Point number 3, which is one I love, unconscious plagiarism, which is a term which I have coined over the years. And basically what that is don't watch other travel channels, which might come as a shock. Because, you know, over the years, I'm constantly asked, you know, who are your favourite travel YouTubers? The truth is, I don't watch any. And when I started doing this, I had never watched a travel channel. I honestly didn't have a clue that this was a thing. I just started because I wanted to document a 6-month, well, what was originally a 6-month trip for friends and family. But then people started watching the videos and it kind of became an income. Many people often say to me in comments, oh, your videos are very unique. Are they? Or is it just that I don't copy other channels? You know, there are so many channels out there that are just very much formulaic and kind of the same theme. And, you know, it's like cookie cutter couples, which I'll come on to in the next one. You know, and I've found that by not watching other channels, not being influenced by what they're doing in terms of filming, where they're going, editing technique and so on, that has really benefited me. Yes, absolutely, I have watched a couple travel channels over the years and probably definitely been influenced, especially in terms of editing. There's a couple of channels who I know personally who are fantastic at editing, and I've absolutely taken on board a lot of the techniques they use. Overall, I would say do not watch any other travel channels. Create your own thing and be unique. Point number 4 is solo versus sexy couple, or unsexy couple as the case may be. Obviously, you know, I am a solo traveler. I've always been a solo traveler. I've never been a YouTube couple. So what I'm saying is very much based on some of those channels I know personally, some of which I have met in real life, you know, and we've discussed these things. But a lot of it also is common sense. You know, it's a case of 2 heads are better than 1. When you are a couple, you know, you may have different skill sets. For example, one of you may be particularly skilled at editing, but you may have the personality of a dishcloth. Whereas the other one might be particularly charismatic and fantastic in front of the camera. Therefore, you can play to each other's strengths. But as a solo YouTuber, you have to be good at everything. I'm not saying that you necessarily have to become the expert in everything, but very much a jack of all trades. So presenting, filming, editing, search engine optimization, anything else to do with social media, writing, photography, the lot. It is tough. Honestly, you know, I have had times over the years where I just think I could really do with another person right now. I mean, I would probably kill them, to be honest, but I would much rather do this myself. But the thing I'm saying, if you are doing it solo, just be prepared for the level of work. A lot of people do think that YouTube, oh, that's not a job. Trust me, it is. I've worked more over the last 6 years than I ever have in life. And if you are doing it solo, don't ever feel like you're crap or you can't do it, because you're bloody brilliant if you could do it yourself. And honestly, I don't know how couples do it. You know, hats off to you. I don't know how you can have a relationship and also work together. It's unfathomable for me, you know, so good on ya. Point number 5 is anti-travel. What does this mean? It kind of goes back to point number 1 around travel and travel YouTube being different. I wanted to, in the beginning, jump from country to country, you know, every 5 minutes, and that's absolutely what I did in the early days, because in the early days it wasn't about a business, it wasn't about making money, it was about what I wanted to do. In those days I wasn't thinking about, you know, growing an audience in certain parts of the world or in certain countries, but over the years it has become more and more apparent that jumping from country to country doesn't work with YouTube, and in terms of the algorithm, it kind of goes against the very nature of travel. You know, I've felt, particularly in the last couple of years, and you've seen this when I go back to Mexico and back to Serbia again and again, because I know I've got an audience there. The problem with going to different countries and the algorithm is that, for example, let's say I go to South Korea and I film a whole series of videos there, gain a huge following in South Korea, but then I go to Albania or something, and are those South Korean viewers going to watch those Albanian videos? Probably not, because they're probably not interested in Albania. It would be great if people watching my videos were actually primarily interested in travel, but the truth is they're not. As I said before, many viewers, probably 95% of them, are locals from that country who want to see a foreigner in their country. So, you know, when I go from Mexico to Serbia or vice versa, I'm lucky that I have 2 separate audiences, because the Mexicans don't watch the Serbian videos and vice versa. It really does frustrate you over time, because I would have loved to be able to, you know, pop to Argentina or something and film a series there, but I know it would be an absolute nightmare, which brings me on to the next point. Point number 6 is cash cow versus liability. If you are going to go to a new country, you have to be very much prepared for it to be an absolute loss maker, because you don't have the audience there. Earlier this year, I went to Brazil. I had been to Brazil twice before, like years before YouTube, and I always wanted to go there to film videos. And I thought, yeah, going to Brazil, it's a country which it seems like other channels do well there, but honestly, it was a disaster. To the point I actually gave up in the end. I had to start thinking about, is the level of work I'm putting into it and the effort worth it financially? It wasn't. I dumped that series after about 10 videos, I think, and went back to Mexico because I needed to think intelligently about my finances. Could I afford to continue traveling around Brazil when no one was watching? I could go back to Mexico instead and make money there because I had an audience there. And it's a real struggle, and I know that this isn't the case for every channel. Obviously everything I'm saying in this video is my experience. There are some channels out there who go from country to country, and it works, and they gain a following in different countries. But I've seen so many channels who may have, 500,000 subscribers, and they'll go to the Philippines and they'll be getting 1 million views. Then they'll go to, I don't know, Nicaragua, and suddenly have 1,000 views per video. And it kind of goes with the thing of celebrating subscriber counts. Honestly, I don't understand why people do it, because especially with travel, it doesn't work. There's no point celebrating that. Those are ghost subscribers. I've probably got people who subscribed to my Japan videos 5 years ago that haven't watched a video since, but they're still in that number, and I could celebrate that. Like, yeah, great, but really, does it mean anything? Because they don't watch. So it's something to think about. Cash cow or liability? Take advantage of the cash cows. That might sound like I'm exploitative, but it's the reality of running a business. Point number 7 is content consistency. Creating the same kind of content in the same kind of format. Unfortunately, the nature of YouTube, in the way that it works, is that you need to create the same kind of content each time. As I said about the creativity aspect and the freedom aspect, I'm very creative. Over the years, I've created videos in different formats about different subjects: travel, digital nomad life, teaching English online. But, obviously the people that watch the teaching English online videos may not be interested in videos from Honduras. And that's the nature of it. And that's something that I just cannot do. I would get extremely bored with creating the same type of video with the same format each time. But the truth is that works. That makes viewers come back because they know what to expect. And it's something that has really worked, I think, for Mexico expat channels. They'll do videos aimed at Americans. Everyone will be about how to be an expat in Mexico, things to know about, things I discovered when I moved to Mexico. They come back each time. If they're suddenly then going to go to a lesser known destination in Durango or something, they don't care about that. Or if someone went to another country, they're not going to watch it because they subscribed for the Mexico stuff. So be consistent. I haven't been. Point number 8 is appeal to the highest ad rate. I'm going to put some stuff on the screen actually to highlight this about being a cash cow as well, and taking advantage of where the money is. Unfortunately, how it works with YouTube, when people watch videos, depending on what country they're in, you get paid differently. So unfortunately, it is the case that Western English-speaking countries generally pay more. So you need to make videos that appeal to a US market, Canadian, UK, Australia, New Zealand. Basically those 5. Yes, there are some other ones which may pop up, and I'll put that on the screen to illustrate it. I can film videos in Mexico and get fewer views than a video in Serbia, but I'll earn more because those videos appeal to a US audience. If you go to a country like Serbia, mostly Serbs are going to be watching those videos where the ad rate is very low. And to illustrate this in terms of a comparison, 2 of my most viewed videos from Mexico, San Carlos from this year, this has got 118,000 views. It's earned about £500 since I uploaded it about 6 months ago. If you look at the viewership percentages, it's about the same for Mexico and the US, about 40-something%. If you then look at this Torreon video from about 18 months ago, that has more views, 143,000, but it's earned about 50% less, about £263. And then if you look at the percentages, it's considerably more in Mexico and only about 19% in the US. This is why I've earned less, because fewer people in the US are watching that video. It's really something to consider if you want it to be a business and be sustainable. Unfortunately, that is the case. If I were to have my time again, perhaps I would go to San Miguel de Allende, I mean, it's really out of date now, and film videos for expats, But I have to ask myself that question. Do I want to do that? No. Does that interest me? Not on your Nelly. No chance. Point number 9 is that people aren't very clever, but some people are bloody brilliant. I'm talking about viewers, comments, and so on. Honestly, if it hadn't been for you guys leaving comments and, you know, getting in touch and building relationships over the years, I would be dead right now. I'd have jumped out the window. I talk to people every day who I've met through YouTube. Some of them are some of my best friends now, which is bizarre, you know, some of which I've met in real life, you know, and it has honestly kept me sane. So I would say absolutely build relationships with the good people. They are bloody brilliant. And one thing I incredibly am grateful for, that didn't work, is the education. You know, when I was in Serbia, for example, this is a great example. You would make videos and, you know, I'm not an expert on Serbian history. I would make mistakes. I would say something that is wrong in a video because my research source was incorrect. There'll be someone in the comments who will be more knowledgeable, far more knowledgeable and educated on the subject and will give me the true story. And I'm incredibly grateful for that because not only does it correct that in my mind, it also helps me learn more. And ultimately that's something which I am the most grateful for over the years. It's made me much more worldly and understanding, and it helps me relate to people in different countries. But on the flip side, some people are shit. Let's face it, especially in the world of social media. You know, you can spend hours filming and editing a video and you're really proud with it, you upload it. The first comment you get is, why is your hair like that? My straighteners aren't working, by the way. Why are you wearing that t-shirt? You know, or you'll get hate comments. And let's talk about hate comments because there's a difference between hate and constructive criticism. I do see some channels, and it is younger channels, younger people on channels rather, that tend to do this more. And I must admit, I was affected by it very much in the early days. Now, I don't give a shit. When someone leaves a comment saying, you're a fat shit, you're a wanker, go and kill yourself, of course that's a hate comment. I've had death threats in the past. When it's a comment like, you know, oh, this video wasn't very interesting, I think you could have been more informative, or, you know, you haven't got much charisma, I think you need to work on your charisma. That's not a hate comment, that's constructive criticism, and you should take that on board. And actually, those type of comments, as with the Serbia thing, have been incredibly beneficial for me. So you've got to develop a thick skin. If you're going to put yourself in a public arena, you've got to be prepared for it. You know, this isn't kindergarten or, you know, bubble wrap land where, you know, your mum tells you you're beautiful and, you know, life isn't like that. Life is harsh. You know, get used to it. But ultimately, you know, people can be brilliant, and I'm going to take that away the most from YouTube. And point number 10, the last one. Oh, this video has gone on a while, hasn't it? No one cares about you. I'm sorry, but they don't. I see so many videos where people will be walking along, talking to camera, and, you know, honestly, if it gets past 10 seconds, I'll turn off. I purposely film incredible amount of B-roll. You know, maybe 75% of what I film is B-roll, drone shots, or I'll turn the camera around so that you can see what I'm looking at. You know, you get so many comments like, you know, even if I'm in a video for like 3.8 seconds, we don't want to look at your face. Or if you're talking about yourself, no one cares. They want to see the destination. That's why they're there. And yes, there are exceptions to this. And one thing for me over the years, you know, this channel is the Tower of David, the journey of David, right? So it will be about me. And especially in recent years, it's become less about me directly. But the reason I talk about myself and my feelings and my experience in a rather introspective manner sometimes is because I want to relate, you know, because I know that I may have had a problem in life that you've also had. And that's something that's come up massively in comments, like, you know, we can relate to what you're saying, you're not alone, that kind of thing. But it goes back to the episodic thing as well, because, you know, I might be talking about, you know, how I feel after 6 years of full-time travel, but that person hasn't seen the previous 6 years, so they don't give a shit. My throat's going. Brilliant. So, you know, I would say, again, if I was to do this again, I would probably focus less on me, have a more of a standard format, focus on it more business-like, and kind of realise that, unfortunately, the world doesn't care. It is a harsh place that we live in, you know? So those are my 10 points. I hope this hasn't gone on for too long. I hope you found it useful. You know, I am very honest and straightforward. Get over it. We're not living in kindergarten, as I said. I'll give it to you straight. So coming up next, what's coming up next? There's another video like this, which is about things I've learned about being a digital nomad, and then will be my final 2 videos. I've actually filmed part of the final one already, so that will be coming soon. Thanks for watching. I'm going to have my other Starbucks now. Yes, I ordered 2. Brilliant. and I'll see you next time. Catch you later.